good evening and welcome to a brand new week of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razda and tonight the Jat protests in Haryana have got worse today, with even Home Ministry officials admitting a complete breakdown of law and order. Do protesters have the right to hold the entire stage hostage for their demands? Also tonight, on the eve of Parliament's crucial budget session, as the Prime Minister claims a conspiracy is on against him, are forces really ganging up against the government, or are these all self-inflicted wounds? We'll be talking about that in a little while later. But first, the big story today has been the violence in Haryana, which actually got worse, with protesting Jats not satisfied with the government's promise of looking at a quota for them. 16 people are now dead. Today, roads remained blocked, cars and even a train was set on fire. By this evening, senior Home Ministry officials admitted that the law and order situation had crumbled.
In Sonipat, a goods train set on fire. In Rohtak, a judge's car burnt down. The hugely important Delhi-Ambala highway blocked. The Munak water canal, Delhi's main water source, badly damaged. Haryana held hostage to a quota war, and its neighbours reeling under the impact too. The BJP-led centre and state scrambling to stop the agitation, which has already lasted 9 days.
जो उन्होंने आरक्षण मान लिया है, तो वो राइटिंग में असेंबली के थ्रू, पार्लियामेंट के थ्रू हमारे पास मैसेज भेजें. We are in the middle of what would be the National Highway 10. As you can see, trucks lined up all across. And it is 24 hours after the government said that the Jat reservation has been cleared. There is no news that has come to the people who are agitating out here.
With most districts like Jhajjar, Sonipat, Rohtak, Jind completely cut off, an additional 10,000 security personnel were sent to Haryana. By the evening, Home Ministry sources admitted to a complete breakdown of law and order in the state.
Right now in Panipat, and this is the scene of Ura market. You can see the vehicles which were burnt down by the mob yesterday.
दो तीन लोग साथ में बैठे हुए थे बाइक्स में, एंड वो लोग सबके पीछे, लोगों के पीछे भाग रहे हैं, एंड दे वर कैरिंग वेपन्स, डंडे, कसियां, कुल्हाड़ी.
जिन लोगों की ये आर्थिक हानि हुई है, वो उस प्रोफार्मा को भर के जिला के उपायुक्त को दे सकते हैं.
NDTV Siddharth Pandey took 4 hours to get from Bahadurgarh to Rohtak, a 40-kilometer journey that was interrupted by 5 blockades. When he finally reached the town, the epicenter of the protest, this is what he found.
His entire gym, 2 cinema halls, the McDonald, the only McDonald that he actually got, that's completely been gutted, and this particular building, I mean this entire building used to employ at least 60 people, all of them now without jobs.
छोड़ रहे हैं रोहतक को छोड़ करके कहीं दूसरी सेफ जगह से आ जाए.
From where I stand in Rohtak, it's a town like many others in Haryana that remains cut off because of the ongoing protests. Now, despite assurances by the state government and more booths and jawans on the ground, things really haven't changed much. Clearly, the government will either have to muster the will and crack down or negotiate its way out. With Sudhir Ranjan Sen in Rohtak, Siddharth Pandey for NDTV.
Meanwhile, former Chief Minister Bhupender Singh Huda's political advisor Virinder has allegedly been heard on tape telling someone that the protest was doing well in Rohtak and not in other places. When contacted, Mr. Virinder said that the audio had been tampered with and the conversation was completely out of context. This is what he is alleged to have said.
कप्तान साहब, ये अपने इलाकों में तो बड़ा अच्छा चल रहा है. देश वाली बेल्ट में इनको कहो, इनको के लड़कों को और इनको के भाई तुम समर्थन का तो ड्रामा करते और सरसा में एक गांव में सीढ़ी भी नहीं रोक रखी तुमने. ये कहो तुम हमारा स्वास्थ्य क्यों ले रहे हो, तुम अपने इलाके में क्यों नहीं कर रहे.
Well, there are many aspects to this debate that has arisen out of this quota stir in Haryana. The first being whether the quota itself is justified, and the second, whether the means to that end are justified, particularly the kind of arson and violence that we have seen in the state over the last few days. Joining us on the program tonight, BJP spokesperson Aman Sinha, from the Congress party, its spokesperson Jaiveer Shergill, Lieutenant General R.S. Kadian, former Deputy Chief of Army Staff, is here in the studio with us. He's from Haryana and from the Jat community and understands why there is a demand for reservations that's coming now. Ankur Bhardwaj, the Assistant Editor of the Business Standard, who has been writing on this, joins us tonight. And we're happy to have Mr. K.C. Tyagi, spokesperson of the JDU and a Member of Parliament, joining us this evening as well. Aman Sinha, would you concede today, would the ruling party concede today that the situation in Haryana has gone out of control? And as Home Ministry officials told reporters today that law and order has broken down in Haryana.
No, Nidhi, there have been some violent protests, and we have seen that it has been happening for past few days. But there is no such scenario of breakdown of law and order as you seem to be quoting through some unknown sources. But let me say that the government, the state government and the central government both are working towards a resolution of all the issues which have come up in past few days. And we have constituted a high-powered committee under leadership of a senior cabinet minister. They are already exploring various possibilities of allowing reservation to the Jat community within the four corners of our legal framework. And they already had one meeting. So the central government and the state government both are seized of the issue. They are working towards its resolution. I think all of us, the protesters need to be patient. And similarly, the media and the opposition parties, they also need to be patient and not, foster more trouble, as you just, showed in the AV clip, which was being played, that, a person very close to the Congress Chief Minister, former Congress Chief Minister, seemed to be, fostering trouble and saying that it's very good that these protests are happening. So let us all exercise restraint.
But Mr.
The government is working towards a resolution of the issue.
I understand what you're saying.
And
let me ask you
I'm
this.
sure the situation is going to normalize very soon.
But let me ask you this. I know that this is a very difficult situation for the government. It's
Yes,
not easy. And we've seen that these protests have had a tendency to turn violent. And you're not the first government that has said, yes, we are going to try and find a way to give you quotas. But, seeing this kind of violence and arson, there are many who are also asking whether it was right for the government to give in to their demands. I don't know what else the solution is myself. I'm only asking you whether, to give in to this kind of violence, we're setting a dangerous precedent, which you haven't said. It's happened before as well, I concede.
Well, Nidhi, government has not given in to any violence, and whatever their concerns and demands are, there is a high-level committee which is going to consider all the demands. So therefore, it cannot be said or construed in any manner that government has given in to violence. The state government and the central government both, as I mentioned to you, are working towards the resolution of the issue. And sometimes, the tempers are high, but in due course of time, I'm sure the situation is going to normalize very soon. And the resolution to all these issues will be brought about by joint efforts of the state government and the central government. And I believe all political parties will also be on board, because finally, if a law has to be brought in the state legislature, then other political stakeholders will also be there, and therefore they also have a role to play in this. And I'm sure they will also exercise restraint during these turbulent times, so to speak.
But Jaiveer, there are serious questions though that are being raised about who really has instigated this violence in a sense. Now we've seen these kind of protests break out regularly in Haryana as they have in Rajasthan. But this time you have this audio clip, this alleged voice of the political advisor to the former chief minister there, in a sense, talking about where protests have done well and where they haven't. So there are serious questions being raised about what kind of a role the Congress may have had in these protests, Jaiveer.
Firstly, Nidhi, taking the route of violence to get your demands accepted is highly condemnable and sets a very bad precedence in a democracy like India. Second, the demand itself and the reasons for this. Now, Nidhi, this demand for Jat reservation has been there for two decades, but within a span of days, it has turned into a Frankenstein monster. Why? We all need to ask this question. Why suddenly it has got that violent? The reason is threefold. Number one, the BJP government took this entire issue very casually and allowed the situation to escalate. There were reports that a Jat-Khap Panchayat is planning a blockade. They have a roadmap of blockade. So this agitation is a complete intelligence and a law and order failure. Can such agitation happen without agencies knowing about it? The clear answer is no. Secondly, the BJP had put this promise in its manifesto. Did they mislead the community on this issue for the past 1.5 years is another question which the BJP will have to answer. Number 3, the BJP RSS combined, it has increased the caste divide within the state, coupled with the provocative statements issued by the non-Jat leaders, which has escalated the situation further. Now, if
how much of a role does the Congress have in it, Jaivi? That was my question. How much of a role does
the role Congress
Congress being a responsible opposition in Haryana in the middle of this violence?
Congress has appealed for peace in Haryana and condemns any violence or any loss to the state property, and we are still appealing for peace in Haryana. That is the limited role Congress has in it. Nidhi, but the larger question I am addressing
what about the tape?
Why has it broke?
Is the party dissociating from the tape of Professor Virinder and Mr. Huda's aide, close aide?
Well, Nidhi, I heard the tape on your channel without, going into the veracity or the authenticity of the tape. I really can't comment on it. Clearly, if there is such a tape and if the gentleman is actually the gentleman, then anybody who's inciting violence should be dealt by law, and this is highly condemnable and punishable. There are no two questions about it.
But let me go to Mr. K.C. Tyagi then. Tyagi ji, आप मुझे बताइए कि ये जो अब कोटा का ये जो एक तो आप देख रहे हैं कि Aman Sinha, just give me a second.
First take action against this offending person.
So I'll come back to that point. I'll just come back. Let me just get the other panelists in. Let me just get the other panelists in.
Should also clarify what is the stand of the Congress party on this issue.
If you can give me 2 minutes, I'd just like to get first comments from everybody. Tyagi ji, आप मुझे बताइए कि जिस तरह से ये एजिटेशन को हैंडल किया गया, आपने देखा है कि पहले भी वायलेंस हुआ है इस मुद्दे को लेकर, इस बार व्हाट वाज डिफरेंट अकॉर्डिंग टू यू त्यागी जी, और क्या सरकार को ये प्रॉमिस करना चाहिए कि हाँ हम ये कोटा आपको दिला देंगे, और क्या वो दिला पाएंगे कानून के नाते?
निधि जी, इसमें 2-3 सवाल उठते हैं। 7 अगस्त 1990 को मंडल कमीशन लागू किया गया था। उस समय जाट, मराठा, पटेल जो इंटरमीडिएटरी कास्ट हैं और जो अपर कास्ट का भी हिस्सा नहीं है, इसको उस समय छोड़ दिया गया था। उस समय भी इन जातियों के समूहों ने पूरे देश में आरक्षण विरोधी आंदोलन का हिस्सा बनने का प्रयास किया था। और तब हम चूंकि उस समय जनता दल में थे, आपकी जानकारी के लिए लाना चाहते हैं कि उस समय हमने भी ये आश्वासन दिया था कि नहीं, इन जातियों को शामिल करने के बारे में विचार करना चाहिए। लेकिन जो पिछड़ी जातियों का कोटा तय है मंडल कमीशन के तहत, उसमें कोई कटौती नहीं होनी चाहिए। निधि जी, रोजगार के अवसर समाप्त हो चुके हैं। तथाकथित महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात और हरियाणा मॉडल, हरित क्रांति, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन और गुजरात मॉडल, तीनों जगह की जो किसान जातियां हैं, चाहे वो मराठा हो, चाहे वो पटेल हों, और चाहे जाट समुदाय के लोग हों, गांव छोड़ रहे हैं। खेती फायदे का सौदा नहीं बची है। स्टारवेशन डेथ हो रही है, कर्जे से डेथ हो रही है। और इन वर्गों के लड़कों के भी रोजगार के अवसर ग्राम में समाप्त हो गए हैं। इसलिए ये भी सरकारी नौकरियों में आरक्षण चाहते हैं। ये हमारे डेवलपमेंट मॉडल के भी फेलियर हैं। इसका बैकग्राउंड तो ये है। दूसरा ये है कि भाजपा ने, और उस समय हम भी एनडीए में थे, इसलिए मैं और मजबूती से कहना चाहता हूं, अपने जनरल इलेक्शन में 99 में अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने सीकर में कहा था, ओबीसी रिजर्वेशन टू द जाट कम्युनिटी इन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट जॉब, आई प्रॉमिस। तो ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी भी समय समय पर जाटों के आरक्षण के लिए कहती रही है। अब ये विवाद कहां हुआ है? जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये कोटा निरस्त कर दिया। एक तो हरियाणा में बहुत वीक चीफ मिनिस्टर है और उनको कोई बहुत बड़ा जन समर्थन इस समय प्राप्त है, मैं ऐसा नहीं मानता हूं। कानून व्यवस्था टोटली चौपट हो चुकी है। और यह दुर्भाग्य है कि देश के और प्रदेश के इंटरनल मैटर्स में आप आर्मी को इनवाइट कर रहे हो। ये एक नई परंपरा हरियाणा से और खराब शुरू हुई है। ये सीमा की सुरक्षा करने का काम उनका है, इंटरनल फोर्सेस को, सीआईएसएफ है और दूसरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। इसलिए बेबस और लाचार जनता के सामने अपने ही बेटों को खड़ा करना, मिलिट्री के अंदर हरियाणा में सबसे ज्यादा नौजवान जाते हैं।
ये जो आपने अभी आर्मी के बारे में बोला, ये मैं जनरल कादियान से पूछना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि ये यहाँ पे स्टूडियो में बैठे हैं. Do you agree with what K.C. Tyagi ji has said, that the army should not have been called against its own citizens in Haryana, or was there no other choice?
Army is the last port of call for any control over internal disturbances. It is for the state and the center to decide if they think that the situation is beyond the control of the local police and of the central police forces, CRPF, BSF, etc., then army is the only agency which can exercise control. So constitutionally, the center is not wrong in calling the army.
And you feel that the situation here warranted it, certainly from the kind of violence we've seen?
From what we get from the media, maybe the state felt that the situation warrants the presence of the army. So I find nothing wrong in the army being called for this kind of situation.
But sir, explain to us, I mean, from your perspective, a lot of people don't understand why this demand for quotas by Jats in Haryana is even being asked for. They form about 30% of Haryana's population. 7 of the 10 chief ministers in the state have been Jats. Nearly a third of their 19 constituencies are dominated by them. They have land, they have money, and we've seen that the Supreme Court has been very clear in its order last year that there cannot be OBC quota for Jats, that caste cannot be the sole factor for deciding backwardness. Why are Jats demanding this quota then?
Okay, Nidhi, firstly, I fully support the demand of Haryana Jats to be included in the OBC quota. The reason is very simple. You have included Jats from Delhi, from Rajasthan, from UP in the OBC quota. So the Haryana Jats have an equal right. They feel discriminated against. Now in your question you mentioned that they are landowners. Yes, that is traditionally Jats are supposed to be a farming community, but if you see the ground reality today, even if statistically 10% are landless, but even if you take the 90%, the average land holding is 2 to 3 acres. When you look at the vagaries of weather and the climate, all these that they go against the agriculture produce, this land holding is no longer viable for a farmer to sustain his family. I go to the village, I don't find any young men there, they're all elderly people. All young men have gone to the town looking for jobs. So that prosperity related to land holding is no longer a practical assumption.
But then
today.
where do we stop, sir? Where do we stop with the quotas? I'd like to ask Ankur this question. I mean, it's like a bottomless pit, isn't it? And yet I understand when General Kaadian, lays out the context of the land holdings and how they've shrunk for Jats in Haryana and the kind of politics that's played over it. But what's the way out?
Nidhi, you just gave the context of where the Jats stand in the Haryana society or in politics in general. So you can take the social perspective, you can take the economic perspective, and you can take the political perspective. And in all three categories, as per all these three things are concerned, the Jats have been a dominant community in the state of Haryana. Now, the argument that we're being given is that the Jats, the land holdings have shrunk over the last 10-15 years, and as a result it has become difficult to sustain yourself on the basis of those small land holdings. Now, that is an economic argument only. That would not exclude other communities. This cannot be Jat specific in that case. The state government in that case has tried to include Jats and other sections, including the upper caste like Brahmins, in the economically weaker sections and try to give them a reservation in a different quota. Now this is not acceptable to the Jats. So they want a particular category of reservations. So that is one aspect of the whole crisis. The other crisis is the political management of this present crisis in the state, and we've seen that the state government has actually completely failed in managing it. For the last 5-6 days before the violence started, we had been seeing that there was blockade around, and there was no response from the governments, and that is what has led to this present situation in the state.
So you believe the government, in a sense, didn't wake up to this quick enough?
The government did not wake up to the crisis. An MP from a different constituency in Haryana continued to fan it, continued to use derogatory terms for the entire community, and the state government and the central leadership of the BJP did not try and prevent him from doing that. So this has led to this present situation becoming inflammable.
You may be supportive, General Kardian, of the quota demand, but I'm sure you would condemn the methods in which they're trying to get their demands through. Do you believe that this can be any way in which to, is this not arm twisting of a government into announcing a quota?
Nidhi, I support the demand, but I regret the violence that has taken place. But we should also examine why did it start. The spark was provided by very provocative communal statement by one of the members of parliament. He has been using words which cannot even be uttered in a socialized gathering. So that provided the spark. I think the anger that came on the 18th when the violence started was from those statements. Unfortunately, he has been making these statements over the last few months, but nobody reined him in. So
and
that gives
so the warning signs, according to you, were also there.
That was the spark. That was the spark. Secondly, when a movement like this starts, the real agitators do not actually get into violence, but there's some lumpen elements who will always come in. Lawlessness will always come in.
You know, there's been so much feedback that we've got on Twitter today and you know, on social media on this. And Aman Sinha, just reading out a couple of tweets to you from viewers tonight. There is Amod who has written saying that isn't this a wrong precedent that's being set? Going forward, won't every community start writing for a quota? Someone else has written, this is Pradyuman, who said that isn't reservation completely against merit? Why should economically affluent classes get quotas? And Vivek, who's written that forget quotas, shouldn't Jat protesters be penalized for destroying public property? So this is just a, you know, cross section of the feedback that we've got, Aman Sinha. You know, I'll begin with the first question. Is a wrong precedent being set? You know, tomorrow you're already facing the prospect of now violence breaking out in Rajasthan. It could spread to elsewhere. And are you going to give in to every demand that comes up? That's the question.
No, Nidhi, people are entitled to voice their opinion and their queries. But as far as government is concerned, government has to factor in large number of perspectives. And therefore, I mentioned to you, Nidhi, that the government has constituted a high-powered committee under leadership of a senior cabinet minister. And they are already looking into large number of issues which are involved and working towards resolution of these issues. And the state government, central government are both jointly working towards this. I'm sure the situation is going to normalize soon, but let us all be a bit more patient and exercise some restraint. And I also appeal that there should not be any act of violence at all to damage and disrupt the public property. Is totally unacceptable in any civilized society, and we do not expect this from you know, anybody who is a responsible citizen of the country.
How do you respond to the criticism even from General Kardian that the warning signs were there, inflammatory comments were being made, there was a build-up to this which the Chief Minister of Haryana failed to see? I mean, you have to concede that somewhere there has been a failure by the state leadership in Haryana. Ankur has a follow-up on that, I think.
The Home Secretary of the state has already conceded that there was an intelligence failure and administrative failure. The IG of Rohtak Range of Police has said that he requested for 25 companies of paramilitary forces. The state government did not respond to it, only provided him 3, and this has escalated into a situation where the social fabric of the city and the parts of the state has been destroyed completely.
Aman Sinha.
No, I think that's an unfair criticism, because for the simple reason that state also exercises restraint when, you know, you're dealing with you know, your own fellow citizens, and you know, they are airing some grievances. They you know, as long as it's a peaceful protest, they don't indulge into, you know, any kind of violent protest and start damaging and disrupting public property, then it becomes a real problem, and state indeed has to intervene. But state government has exercised restraint, and that should not be construed as any sign of weakness really. You exercise restraint, that is fine as far as administration is concerned, because we believe and it's our conviction that we are heading towards a quick resolution of these issues, and this is a momentary passing phase, and I'm sure the issues are going to be resolved.
How will you resolve it?
I only appeal to all the other various opposition parties
with all the limits on how much reservation you can give? Aman Sinha, I mean, is this a big promise that is going to be difficult to fulfill? You know, genuine concern here is that. How would it fit into the Supreme Court's laid down criteria for reservations?
No, that's a valid question, because Supreme Court has already struck down the notification once, and there is a review which is pending. But let me say at the same time that if the State Assembly comes up with a new enactment which provides for reservation to the Jat community, then obviously, so that is what, is being explored, all the various possibilities, how to, grant reservation to the Jat community under our legal framework. So all those possibilities are being worked out.
Well, you concede that won't be easy.
For me to comment on this
Yeah.
at this point in time, but that is our intent.
All right. Well, let me just get last comments first from Jaiveer Shergill. Jaiveer, now that you've heard about this audio clip, which incidentally has been in print in the Chandigarh papers, will the Congress at least have an inquiry into what has gone on? Shouldn't the Congress at the very least order a probe and find out whether its own people have been involved in fanning the flames in Haryana?
Congress will definitely look into the tape. And if anybody is found guilty of inciting the violence, and necessary action will be taken, Nidhi, for sure, be rest assured. Second, Nidhi, I wanted to just make one comment. This is not one of the incidents where army has been called, because in general, under the BJP rule, law and order has been a brittle and a fragile commodity in Haryana. If you remember Baba Rampal issue, a CRPF and paramilitary forces were called to catch one Baba, and he was taken entire state to hostage. So Mr. Khattar advertises Haryana as happening Haryana, but under his watch, I'm sorry to say, it has become a mishappening Haryana in the past 1.5 years. So, the preventive step, that why has the dialogue process failed in 1.5 years? Why is BJP's slow-footedness and a lumbering reaction has led and escalated the situation? That non-timely intervention to stop the provocative statements. Anyway, there is a consistent pattern to all this. And as far as Congress role is concerned, we appeal for peace and we condemn any kind of violence, because this is sure shot giving confidence to those who believe violence is the easiest way to get their demands accepted.
Well, let's see if the Congress follows up on that. But let me ask KC Tyagi to give the final word on this particular subject. Tyagi ji, jab ye...
Nidhi, just briefly, coming in briefly.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Sinha, quickly.
Nidhi ji.
No, the difference is evident between BJP and Congress. The BJP state government and the central government is working towards resolution of the issues, but the Congress and other opposition parties are
if you would have worked, Mr. Raman Sinha, the situation would not have reached
this point in time, they have not clarified what is their stand with respect to this, Jat quota reservation demand. What is their stand? They have not clarified.
But their stand has been the same, hasn't it, Jaiveer? You support the quotas, don't you?
Congress passed the decision for quotas. It was overturned by Supreme Court. The review is pending. What is the hidden secret in it?
So let me ask KC Tyagi for the last word on this. क्योंकि त्यागी जी अब ये पार्लियामेंट का सेशन कल शुरू होने वाला है, आपसे अभी उससे भी बातचीत होगी 2 मिनट के बाद. लेकिन त्यागी जी, ये जो कोटा का मसला है, इसका ये खत्म कब होगा? मतलब ये तो बार बार वही बात हो रही है, बार बार वही प्रॉमिसेस हैं, लेकिन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला है उसके फ्रेमवर्क के अंदर ये कैसे होगा? त्यागी जी.
निधि जी, पिछले 8 महीने से एंटी जाट लीडर्स को इकट्ठा करके भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसद लामबंद हैं. दिल्ली के अंदर तालकटोरा गार्डन में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के 5 एमपीओ ने जाट आरक्षण के खिलाफ यहां पर सम्मेलन किया. सारे अखबारों में छपा, किसको पता नहीं था. जिले जिले में पिछले 6 महीने से जाट आरक्षण के खिलाफ सभाएं हो रही हैं, जिनको भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसद संबोधित करने. इसलिए सबसे पहली जिम्मेदारी तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की है. वो कैटेगरिकली बताएं कि वो जाट आरक्षण के पक्ष में है कि नहीं है. अगर आरक्षण के पक्ष में है तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कोई नेता या कोई एमपी
इसमें हमें शिक्षा नहीं चाहिए. आपका अपना क्या स्टैंड है? आपने खुद क्या किया इस मुद्दे पे?
प्लीज
आके भाषण यहाँ
आज हमें बहुत अच्छा लगा कि अभी तक किसी का झगड़ा नहीं हुआ. थैंक यू. क्योंकि पिछले हफ्ते आपको पता है बहुत कलरफुल प्रोग्राम्स रहे हमारे. हाँ जी, त्यागी जी.
मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि अगर भारतीय जनता पार्टी सीरियस है तो जो भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नेता या सांसद जाट आरक्षण के खिलाफ वक्तव्य देता है या रैली आयोजित करता है, आप उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई कीजिए. दूसरा यह है कि सब पार्टियों को रजाबंद किया जाए. और जब रोजगार मिलने बंद हो गए हैं, चाहे वो महाराष्ट्र हो, चाहे गुजरात हो, चाहे हरित क्रांति का केंद्र जो डॉक्टर कादयान बता रहे थे हरियाणा हो, अब यहां पर जमीन जो है खेती फायदे का सौदा नहीं बची है। कोई भी किसान अब खेती नहीं करना चाहता, तो क्या करेगा, नौकरी उसको मिलेगी नहीं। तो इसी तरह के आंदोलन होंगे। हालांकि मैं हिंसक आंदोलन के खिलाफ हूं, बिल्कुल नहीं हिंसा होनी चाहिए, गांधीयन वे से प्रोटेस्ट करना चाहिए, लेकिन पुलिस ने ज्यादती की है, 2 दर्जन के करीब नौजवान मरे हैं, उसके लिए हरियाणा की सरकार जिम्मेदार है।
Well, I only hope we're getting some reports that the blockade of National Highway 10 at least has finally been lifted and traffic is beginning to move there. So maybe there are the first signs that at least in some parts of the state, some kind of normalcy may be coming back. I'm going to take a break. I'd like to thank General Kadyan and Ankur for joining us tonight, but our remaining guests will stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes as we look ahead to this Parliament session, on the eve of which the Prime Minister claims that there is a conspiracy against him to defame him and the government. More on that after the break. Well, at a time when the centre is beleaguered by one crisis after another, from JNU to the Jat protest, the Prime Minister's comments on Sunday that there's a conspiracy to destabilize the government and defame him has in a sense set the tone ahead of the budget session that starts tomorrow. At an all-party meeting today, the opposition has demanded discussions on the student unrest in various universities from Hyderabad to JNU, the Kota protests in Haryana, as well as the Pathankot attack and the fallout of that. Also, Sonia Gandhi, in a speech to the Congress Working Committee today, has strongly attacked the government, saying that it's undermining all democratic norms, is hell-bent on destroying the spirit of inquiry, questioning and the spirit of debate and dissent, saying that the opposition's voice had been muzzled in the Lok Sabha and that civil society activists and organizations had been silenced. Well, Aarti Jairath is joining us here in the studio on that. So, you know, what does all of this mean? If you look at all these developments, Aarti, over the last 48 hours, the Prime Minister's statement, Sonia Gandhi's attack, the all-party meeting, do you think Parliament's going to work? It's going to function?
Well, I mean, the budget has to be passed, so I think
so to that extent,
yes. You know, otherwise funds will stop flowing. But beyond that, I really don't see any meeting ground, you know, between the opposition and the government on any issue whatsoever. Because, you know, it's become so fractious and so personalized, and if you see the kind of statements that are emanating from both sides, and, you know, the kind of violence in the language, that's what's really frightening. I mean, you had a senior BJP leader from Tamil Nadu saying that D. Raja should have his daughter shot because she was, you know, part of the protests in JNU. I mean, you had another BJP leader talking about decapitating Rahul Gandhi's head and hanging it from the gates of JNU. I mean, you know, the violence in the language, in the rhetoric, is quite frightening. And, you know, I mean, it's up to the Prime Minister really, because, you know, this is his government. And he has to, I think the biggest challenge before him is to turn the economy around. And for that, obviously, he needs to have stability, some peace, and some sense of direction in Parliament. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for him to complete his agenda.
No, but the question is, you know, Jayaveer, at the end of the day, you know, the government has held all these all-party meetings. It's trying to reach out, and to the government's credit, it has said it is ready to have a discussion on anything, including JNU, including the student unrest, and you know, whatever the opposition has demanded. So, at the very least, can we expect there to be a debate and discussion in this session and not disruption? Because that's very important.
Nidhi, before I answer that, I just want to make a quick comment on Prime Minister Modi's comment on the NGO. Firstly, I think with due respect, the Prime Minister has confused the concept of accountability and asking the government questions with conspiracy. Now, PM Modi has an anti-NGO paranoia because they raise certain inconvenient questions which the Prime Minister is not comfortable with. Now, over the year, as Ms. Gandhi said, there is a pattern. The government has consistently attacked NGOs. 13,000 NGOs have been shut down, and on 13 July 2005, within a span of a month, there were 8,000 which lost their licenses. Now, the government has consistently attacked NGOs, students, or any civil society voice, because the Prime Minister wants to gag the civil society, which will ask inconvenient questions and raise and expose the inconvenient truth. But let not forget that in our all NGOs are not clean. Let me be very clear. But in our anti-NGO rhetoric, we cannot drown the voice of civil society, which is very important for a democracy like India. Now, coming to the budget session, Congress Party has assured its support to the government in the coming budget session, provided the issues raised by us are also addressed in the parliament, like there are various issues of Arunachal, death of Rohit Vermula, the Pathankot attacks.
So in other words, you let the House function. You will let the House function.
Yes, Congress will let the House function, support the government on important legislations, provided the concerns of the oppositions are also addressed in a dialogue and not in a hostile approach that we are holier than thou or like a emperor dictating from a hilltop.
Let me ask Aman Sinha, when the Prime Minister talked about disgruntled NGOs, black marketeers conspiring to defame the government, destabilize the government and defame him, he said conspiracies were being hatched every day to finish and defame him. And there had been a storm of protests ever since he became Prime Minister. He used the terms Modi ko maro, they're all ganging up against me and saying that. Who exactly is he talking about? I mean, is this a reference to NGOs, the opposition? What is he talking about here?
Nidhi, obviously, if you see how this government has remarkably performed in last 20 months or so, today India is an emerging global superpower. The whole world acknowledges it. We are the best performing economy in the world. By any yardstick you see, we have moved far, far ahead under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The whole world acknowledges it. It is high time that our opposition parties and some self-styled groups also start acknowledging it. Now, despite this, Nidhi, you see that every day some kind of, artificial manufactured trouble is being fostered up, and somewhere or other, the complicity of our opposition parties and other forces is very much there. You can see evidence of that in, in each and every, nuisance which is sought to be created every time around. Now, what is this NGO talk which is, if NGOs are flouting laws with impunity, then the action will have to be taken against them. If they are in violation of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act or large number of several statutes, there is no other way the government will have to take action.
But when you say a nuisance is being sought to be created, what does that mean? I mean, who has created the nuisance of Rohit Vemula, for example, of the protests and the handling of the JNU crisis, of the protests in Haryana? Have these all been instigated by, those who oppose the Modi government?
At least we have not created any nuisance there.
These are not self-inflicted. There's no mishandling of anything in any of these cases.
No, you see how, if anti-India slogans are being shouted to in Delhi, and the administration and police are working towards that, are trying to interrogate and investigate the issue, they are not being allowed to proceed further, and some big hue and cry is raised over it. I don't want to name, but there are large number of some media channels and some newspapers who make three-fourths of the lead page is devoted to these kind of statements,
but
and our martyred soldiers, they do not get any space neither in the media, print or electronic. This is the kind of thing which is happening.
Sinha,
no, I am sorry to say that there may be number of negative things that are happening, but in this very same country, large number of positive things are happening, and it is unfortunate that only a few small negative things from here and there is sought to be, highlighted and magnified in a very peculiar manner.
You said a number of things there. K.C. Tyagi, here, listening to what Aman Sinha has said, he is saying that there are a lot of positive things happening as well, and he's right. And is it only the negative things that get picked up, whether it's by the media, by the opposition, and that becomes the headline? Is the media, the opposition partly to blame for that? Or is the BJP now in denial about its own mistakes as well in all these various things that have happened over the last few months? It can't all be a conspiracy, can it, Tyagi ji?
आरती पता नहीं उस समय इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में इन्होंने अपना जर्नलिस्ट कैरियर शुरू किया होगा, ऐसे ही आंदोलनों में प्री इमरजेंसी डेज में ऐसे ही आरोप हम पर लगते थे और इनके नेता अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी भी लगते थे, हम देशद्रोही हैं, उस सरकार को डिस्टेबलाइज करना चाहते हैं, हम जो है विदेशियों से मिले हुए हैं, और वही आरोप श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी और अमन सिन्हा जी की भाषा में
कोई कह रहा है कि देश के टुकड़े कर देंगे, देश की बर्बादी कर देंगे।
अरे बात सुन लीजिए ना, पेशेंट को होते हैं, काम को नहीं आएंगे।
We're not having a debate on JNU again.
शहादत हो रही है।
Tell him how to behave on the channel.
Mr. Sinha, let him speak because there's just the four of you and we have enough time. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Tyagi.
सिन्हा जी जरा
No, he is giving a completely
जब आप
incorrect
बोलते हैं तो हम नहीं
analogy.
बोलते
I
ना।
don't agree with him. How can he compare, you know, 1974 era, what happened after emergency and what he's saying?
मैं कोई बीजेपी का गुलाम तो हूं नहीं। आई एम ए पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविस्ट ऑफ अपोजिशन। आई स्पेंड 19 months इन जेल। हु आर यू टू चेक मी?
हाँ, पर मैं भी गुलाम नहीं हूँ आपका, मैं भी आपका गुलाम नहीं हूँ। और अगर आप गलत तथ्य देंगे तो मैं उसको ऑब्जेक्ट करूंगा।
वो जो बात कह रहे थे अपनी वो तो पूरी कर लें, फिर we'll come back to you.
ऑब्जेक्ट बाद में करेंगे कि पहले करेंगे? इट शोज योर इंटॉलरेंस आल्सो।
मत आइए, आपको जो बोलना है बोलिए।
आप चुप रहिए।
क्या इंटॉलरेंट का मतलब है? आप झूठ बात कह दें, आप गलत बात कह दें और यहां बैठ के सब लोग सुनते रहे।
Mr. Sinha, I think let's
सुनेंगे।
not call each other liars.
I'm here.
Let us hear him out. Let's hear each other out. Let's try to do this.
No, he is not addressing the issue.
One second, let him finish, Mr. Sinha. Let him finish.
I'm sitting quietly. He's not speaking.
Okay.
He's only making allegations and personal allegations.
Arguing with each other here. 1 second. Okay, thank you. Mr. Tyagi will finish his point now. Yes, Mr. Tyagi.
निधि जी, मैं बहुत शांति के साथ सुनता हूं। ये नए अभी आए हैं, इसलिए इस तरह से बीच में बात काटते हैं। बिल्कुल ठीक है। हैदराबाद के अंदर
ऐसा है, आपके सर्टिफिकेट की आवश्यकता नहीं है। आप कहां से आए हैं पहले आप बताइए, आपका क्या क्रेडेंशियल है?
जब आप पैदा नहीं हुए थे, जब मैं जयप्रकाश जी के साथ जेल गया था। मैं अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी के साथ जेल रह चुका हूं।
उसके बाद
मैं अडवाणी जी के साथ जेल रह
पार्टी
चुका हूं।
आपने बदली। आप क्यों इस तरह का पर्सनल कमेंट कर रहे हैं? आप यही नए आए हैं, आप ये क्या मर्यादित व्यवहार कर रहे हैं?
लेकिन हम विषय पे तो बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं।
अगर आप मेरिट पे मैच नहीं कर सकते तो आप शांत होकर बैठ जाइए।
Let's just try and stick to the subject.
कोई
Really,
मुद्दा छोड़
I have a
के दुनिया जहान की सब बात कर रहे हैं।
that we will try to have constructive debates. Really, seriously, that we will try to have constructive TV debates. I am asking Mr. K.C. Tyagi that is there a grain of truth in what the BJP spokesperson is saying? Aman Sinha, I'm sorry. Please let me finish my question to Mr. Tyagi. Is there a grain of truth in what he says that the negative gets focused on too much?
Sure.
Or is the BJP washing its hands of its own mistakes? It can't be that everything is a conspiracy. Tyagi ji, आपका ये कहना है कि ये पहले भी आप सुन चुके हैं।
चुनाव के दौरान जो वायदे किए गए थे, उनमें से एक भी वायदा पूरा नहीं हुआ। इंडियन इकोनॉमी जैसी प्रोजेक्ट की जा रही है वैसी हालत नहीं है। रोजगार पैदा नहीं हो रहे हैं। स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री की ये हालत हो गई है कि मेजर स्लो डाउन हो गया है। 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा के 1 लाख करोड़ से ज्यादा का एनपी आपको माफ करना पड़ा है। देश में किसान लगातार पहले से भी ज्यादा आत्महत्या कर रहे हैं। ग्रामीण भारत में डिस्ट्रेस है। 360 जिलों में सूखा पड़ा हुआ है। कोई डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट नहीं है। सीमा से रोज अतिक्रमण की खबरें आ रही हैं। आज भी 5 हमारे फौजियों के शव यहां पर आए हैं। कहते थे कि मेरा 56 इंच का सीना है, मैं बिरयानी खानी बंद कराऊंगा, मुझको बनाइए। देश के शिक्षण संस्थाओं में अशांति है। लड़ाई एबीवीपी की और अम्बेडकराइट यूथ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बीच में थी। क्या जरूरत थी वाइस चांसलर को? क्या जरूरत थी जो एचआरडी मिनिस्टर हैं उनको वहां के वाइस चांसलर को ये लिखने की कि इसको रोहित को एक्सपेल कीजिए और 4 को और एक्सपेल कीजिए? क्या कभी यूनिवर्सिटीज के अंदर, आईआईटी में, आईआईएम में इस तरह से हाई लेवल पर कभी इस तरह के काम हुए हैं?
आपका कहना है,
जेएनयू है।
त्यागी जी, आपका कहना है कि काफी सारी मतलब देयर आर लॉट ऑफ मिस्टेक्स दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज आल्सो कमिटेड. Aman Sinha, I'll just give you a chance to respond because Aarti wanted to add something to that because you were actually trying to counter something Aman Sinha was saying.
No, I really actually want to ask Mr. Sinha that look, when Jats are setting fire to properties, destroying public property in Haryana, when the water supply to Delhi has been cut off, I mean, can you call this a conspiracy by the NGOs and by an opposition and just ignore it and say that the media is focusing on the negative and not looking at the positive? This is happening on the eve of Parliament, right on your doorstep, on the capital's doorstep. When lawyers are attacking the media, beating up students, the police is unable to guarantee the safety of an accused who's being brought into court to hear a bail application. And, you know, and this is happening right here in the heart of the capital city. And you say that, you know, we are ignoring all the good work that the government has done. I mean, obviously these issues will become the main focus.
Okay, let Aman Sinha answer that. Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, it's also a day where unfortunately there are two leading newspapers, both the New York Times and Le Monde in Paris, which have very strong pieces criticizing the way India has handled the JNU issue. And you have someone like tennis star Martina Navratilova actually retweeting that New York Times article. So, you know, it doesn't do India any good when, you know, we see sort of the international media and international personalities pick up on these issues, does it?
No, Nidhi, it's a valid question, but asked to the wrong person, because it has to be asked to our opposition parties who are trying to create some, you know, hue and cry and some issue out of this, because it was a law and order issue. If RTG is giving some examples that this has happened in national capital, that has happened in national capital, she's a journalist of international acclaim. Please, will she tell me and enlighten me that which civilized country in this world is going to tolerate and accept such, you know, slogans and such organized gatherings where it says that we will keep fighting till desh ki barbadi ya desh ke tukde? Which civilized nation in this world is going to tolerate this in its national capital? I am not dwelling into detail. Now, Mr. Tyagi, RTG, please allow me to finish. The due process is not allowed to be. No, the difficulty is that once the investigation has started, the due process should be allowed to go through.
Absolutely.
Now please let us not engage into this, because I have to respond to what Mr. Tyagi was saying before my audio line is cut off. Now, Mr. Tyagi,
no, I'm sorry.
He made पुराने व्यक्ति की तरह उन्होंने बहुत सारा लंबा अपना political भाषण दिया.
I'm going to call out people for disinformation. Your audio line is not being cut off. So let's leave the snide ones aside.
But please allow me to respond.
Yeah, so I'm letting you.
If you don't give me opportunity to respond, you know,
please go ahead.
One and the same
thing. Please
go
ahead. Don't have to give us the sly ones. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, you see, it was not a snide remark meant at you. I was only saying that my time will be up. Anyway, what Mr. Tyagi said was obviously, you know, made like a true politician who has not contributed anything really, because he made all the baseless remarks. Ye ho gaya, wahan ye ho gaya, yahan ye ho gaya. Are you have any source, any credentials, any basis on what you're saying? And let me say, where is this economy heading? This is the fastest growing economy. This has the lowest inflation rate. We are you know, on all parameters virtually, we are much ahead of others. You know, even the FDI investments are much ahead of, you know, even US and China. Obviously, this will take some time to percolate, go to the roots and moorings. But this government is working towards that. It cannot happen overnight. And, you know, it is people like him who find negative with everything. They go on to damage the reputation, the image of the country, and the kind of articles which are published in New York Times, which you were referring to. They are all because of, you know, people who are creating
Are you saying the government has made no mistakes?
People who are hell-bent on creating nuisance and
such
negative news. They are responsible for defaming of the country outside.
Is everything a conspiracy against the government? Has the government not made any mistakes at all? I mean, you know, people can make mistakes, Mr. Sinha. I mean, are you you know, on one hand you're saying yes, the opposition is too negative, but is the BJP in danger of being too positive and overlooking its mistakes?
No, Nidhi, no government is perfect. No individual is also perfect. You know, we keep learning. So I am not going to, you know, be very, you know, say something which is untenable, and it applies equally to everybody, to all the individual, to all the political parties. But let me say, if you see relatively, BJP has been able to deliver much more than what any UPA government or any other Congress or any other government has done. What we have done in past 20 months, you know, the Congress governments in past 40-50 years have not been able to do that.
Right,
and you ask anybody international fora, in any international fora, they will say that today India and Indians, they enjoy and command lot of respect and regard.
I also pointed out to you what the international press and
relatively one of the best
and the kind of unfortunate attention India is also getting. I think
That's
we need
right.
to.
I'm not going by
yeah.
international press.
Yeah, so
but please go by
that
what
is also
international
the foreign
leaders are
hand.
saying.
You know, Jaiveer, just give me a
International
moment
press,
because I would
they
like to.
discredit lies
I would like
at
to
the
end
doorstep
tonight
of
on a
people
different
like Mr.
note.
Tyagi
I would like
and
to
some
end this
other
program on a
opposition
different
parties
note tonight.
who have been
I'm bringing the
creating this
mics
negative
down
buzz and
of
fostering
everybody
trouble.
now, because I would like to end with these pictures today that we really need to be focusing on. India saying farewell to the martyrs of Pampore in Jammu and Kashmir, where 5 brave young men laid down their lives in the line of duty, fighting off terrorists in a deadly encounter that lasted more than 2 days, and that includes Captain Pavan Kumar, Captain Tushar Mahajan, Lance Naik Om Prakash and CRPF constables R.K. Rana and Bola Singh, each one a hero in his own right and far, far too young to die. We leave you with this tribute for these soldiers.